So tonight I'm reading a new story about Duane Keefe D. Davis. You know, he is the former drug kingpin or whatever, and a suspected hitman of Tupac Shakur. Now he's in LA County Jail awaiting trial for the Tupac case. And so now he's caught another charge. He's caught a new charge for battery, and his bond has been set at $50,000 on that new charge. Now he already was having problems raising the $750,000 bail in the Tupac case, and he couldn't come up with that. So now they didn't tack on an additional charge on him for $50,000 for battery. So we don't know. The news story didn't really give a lot of details. It's a battery charge, so either he got into a fight and assaulted another prisoner, or he assaulted a guard, or prison, or some prison personnel, or staff or something. But he caught another charge in there. He just caught it. It just came out on the news today. So this is not going to look good for him. This man is 61 years old, and they say his cancer has come back, and he's in there catching new cases. This is not going to look good for his trial, which is supposed to be scheduled for March. They said he's going to have a hearing to confirm the March trial date, but it's not looking good for him at all. And the strongest evidence that they have against Keefe D is his own confession. Remember, he confessed to his role in the whole Tupac case, and he mistaked his proffer agreement with that was with Detective Kading, his proffer agreement, and that was in L.A. That proffer agreement was only for L.A. in L.A. and that was only for one day. He supposed to have all this street smart, supposed to be this confident street legend. He didn't know that he thought he had immunity when he gave that proffer agreement, and that's not how proffer agreements work. So he confessed to his role in the Tupac case, and what he didn't know that because he thought he had immunity, he kept giving interviews and wrote a book about how they carried out the Tupac crime. And he explicitly described his role in conspiring to commit the crime, plan, plotting, and strategizing to carry out the crime, and providing the weapon to his nephew, Orlando Anderson, to carry out the crime. So his own words are going to be, his own confession is going to be the thing that convicts him on this case. And just thumbing his nose up at detectives, that's going to do him in. So the thing about it is he's trying to implicate, in his paperwork and in all the court filings, he's implicating Diddy as being playing a role in the crime and hiring him and his nephew to carry out the hit. However, people seem to think, oh, they're holding Diddy because they think that the case that Diddy is being held for now, the federal case with Cassie, they think that that case, a lot of people think that they're just really holding Diddy for the Tupac case for real. But the thing is about the Tupac case with Diddy, it's weak because the only thing that they have linking Diddy with that Tupac case is Keefe D's words. And Keefe D would be his co-defendant if he was ever charged in that Tupac case. But the thing about it with Diddy is that he would have a strong defense because it will be his word against Keefe D's words. And my understanding is that the main person who was brokering or negotiating this deal with Keefe D with the Tupac hit was Diddy's mother's boyfriend, Eric Von Zip, who's dead. So the only connection that Keefe D has to try to connect and bring Diddy into the case is through Eric Von Zip, who's dead. So it will be Diddy's word against Keefe D's word. And the thing about it is, like I said, I always say this, and people got to look at it from a defense point of view. I know a lot of people, I know y'all hate Diddy and y'all say he's arrogant and all this other stuff, and y'all don't really even know him as a person. But I look at it from both sides. And I look at it from a defense standpoint and a prosecutor standpoint. You got to look at it from both sides. With Diddy's situation, what a lot of people do not know or they are overlooking is the fact that Diddy was not a street person. That East Coast West Coast rivalry was a marketing tactic to sell more rap records. That's what it was. That's what it started out. But it did escalate to real street beef, real East Coast West Coast rivalry that went too far. And just like a lot of these rappers, a lot of those beefs, y'all, are staged to sell records and to, generate interest and attention to those artists. A lot of those beefs are fake, but this beef with East Coast and West Coast with Tupac and uh, Puffy and Biggie. It started out because they were all friends. Remember, it started out. Tupac had a disagreement with Jimmy Henchman, who was a street dude. He was a big time drug dealer. His name, what is Jimmy Henchman is in prison too. I think he got like shoot a life sentence for another hit that he carried out. But y'all got to realize that Tupac, without any real proof, believed that his disagreement with Jimmy Henchman, where he was hit up 5 times and almost died or got unalived, as people like to say. That was a disagreement between him and Jimmy Henchman. It was some type of thing that he had with him, and because Puffy and Biggie was there at the time, and I guess they really didn't react the way Tupac expected them to react because he thought they were friends. He accused Puffy and Biggie of knowing about, the attempt on his life or having something to do with it, which there was no proof that they had any knowledge of it or any part in it. It's just that Tupac always believed they did. And there's no proof whatsoever. And both Puffy and Biggie denied it. And Biggie denied it up until the end. Biggie even went to go visit Tupac in the hospital. So there was no proof that Diddy or Biggie had anything to do with that first time that Tupac was hit up 5 times. But because Tupac nearly lost his life, he hated Diddy and Biggie because of that, and they were sworn enemies after that. So, Tupac caught other cases. He went to jail. Suge got him out, and he started hanging with Suge. He signed with Suge Knight's record label, and because Suge and Diddy had beef, Tupac, he kind of became best friends with Suge. What they say, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So that's the whole mentality that Tupac had. And plus, Suge was the only one that helped Tupac when he was down and came and bonded him out of jail and everything. And when Tupac got killed, he was still out on an appeal bond for his case that he had caught the case with the young lady. You gotta be careful what you say on this TikTok. But remember, Tupac had did 8 months in jail for that bogus case that he caught with the girl. And so Suge came and bonded him out. And Tupac was still out on appeal bond at the time that he had lost his life in Las Vegas. But anyway, back to the story and back to the situation. He always thought Biggie and Diddy had something to do with the henchman case, which they did not. I don't believe they did. He carried that beef with him when he went to California and, became good friends with Suge. And it got to the point, y'all, where Diddy, not being a street dude, when Suge and Tupac started making songs about harming his family, his mother, and y'all got to understand, all those women, Mary J. Blige, Faith, and all of those females, Misa, all of those females that were dealing with Diddy, they would run to the West, they would be with Diddy in New York and run to the West Coast and be with Tupac and Suge. When they were, they were playing both sides. Yes, they were. It's been established, it's been proven. It got to the point where Suge had took a picture with Diddy's son Justin. Diddy only had one child at the time, and that was his son Justin by Misa Hilton Brim, his first baby's mama. Suge was taking pictures with Diddy's son during their beef. And then Tupac and Suge beat a man, and made him drink urine because that man would not tell them where Diddy's mother, Janice Combs, was located so they could do harm to his mother. So you got to put yourself in Diddy's situation. At the time, Diddy was probably worth about, 30, 40 million? But Eric Von Zip was Diddy's mother's boyfriend. And so Eric Von Zip was a street dude. And I believe he was the main person that was in contact with Keefe D and the California Crips, trying to protect Diddy whenever Diddy traveled on the West Coast. Diddy was not no street person. He was a Catholic boy. See, his mother moved Diddy out of Harlem and moved him to Mount Vernon, away from the streets, after Diddy's father was killed. Diddy's father, Melvin Combs, was a street dude. He died in the streets. Eric Von Zip knew Diddy's father, and he kind of took Diddy on as his son after Diddy's father died, and he began dating his mother. And so, Suge was, and Tupac, what Tupac said in his lyrics, what he said, my fofo will make sure that all your kids don't grow. They were issuing real threats, and they were making serious threats against not only Diddy, but also his mother and his son. So you got to put yourself in Diddy's situation, but you also got to understand Eric Von Zip's position. So they're saying that Von Zip took the money that allegedly um, Gene Deal claimed he saw $1 million check. That $1 million check, that story, I don't believe that not one bit, because checks are traceable, and I don't think Diddy or Von Zip was that stupid to write a check, But Gene Deal, these guys, they make these stories, they tell these stories on YouTube to Vlad and all these different channels, and they pay them to make these stories, tell these stories to keep this story alive and keep interest going. So they make enough stuff. I don't bit more believe that there was $1 million check nowhere. If that's the case, that check should be traced to who cashed it, who it was written out to, and all that good stuff. So they're saying that Diddy allegedly gave $500,000. And it was supposed to have been $1 million because it was supposed to have been Tupac and Suge getting hit, but because it was only Tupac that got hit um, successfully, he only gave $500,000. And they're saying that Von Zip ended up taking the money and making off with the money and opening a club with it. That's the story. But the more that I'm really thinking about it, Diddy would have a strong defense. They cannot really connect Diddy with the case only through the words of Keefe D, who keeps changing his story, because now Keefe D is trying to lie and say he made all of that up about his role in the crime in Tupac's case just to sell books and make money from the interviews. So you can't, Keefe D's testimony is not credible at all. The only thing that is going to convict Keefe D is his own words and his confession. But they do have records that is placing Keefe D, that placed Keefe D in Las Vegas at the time, and they have other circumstantial evidence that connects Keefe D to the crime. Also, with the video of Orlando in that casino and Tupac in Orlando, and all of the people that were with Tupac and Suge Knight jumping Orlando in that casino. Like I told y'all, that situation was set up in that casino to where um, Keefe D and Orlando planned that. They planned for Orlando. They positioned Orlando to be in that casino. You see how Orlando's in that video and he's looking back and forth like he's on a mission. He's up to something. And he has on that 13 jersey. He has on the same number jersey, 13, that Idi Amin from the Outlaws wore in that Hit 'em Up video. Idi Amin had on a 13 jersey in the Hit 'em Up video that he made with Tupac. Well, Orlando had the same number 13 jersey in that casino that night, because they positioned Orlando in that casino that night to bring the smoke to Tupac, so that they could initiate a fight with them that would result in the tragic accident that happened at that red light in Las Vegas. They planned that because they wanted that money. They set up that whole situation. They even planned it as far as back as having one of the California Crips snatch one of the Tupac entourage members' chain in the mall. They created this conflict and this beef with Tupac and Suge intentionally because they were setting up the hit. So that night at that Mike Tyson fight, they positioned Orlando in that casino with that jersey on, that Hit 'em Up jersey, started that fight with Tupac so they could come back and carry out the hit. That's what happened. And I do believe that Eric Von Zip was the main negotiator. He was the main, what do you call it, co-conspirator. He was the main point man because he dated Diddy's mother and they were threatening her. Now, who was this guy? It was a guy that was close to Diddy that Tupac and Suge hemmed up in a hotel room. And they said that he made this man, Tupac and Suge made the man drink urine. I think his name was Mark something. Mark, they called him Puffy at the time. Puffy, Suge, Tupac, drink urine. They made this man drink urine. I think they held him upside, something they said they held him upside down or something. But they beat this man really seriously but the man didn't give them Tupac's mother's location. So he was a record promoter named Mark Anthony Bell. Mark Anthony Bell, that was the man's name. Mark Anthony Bell. So he was a promoter. He worked with Diddy. He went to high school. Okay, it says he went to high school with Diddy. Went to the party with his friend that had done. He worked with Diddy. It said he was beaten with champagne bottles and forced to drink. He was robbed. Tupac and Suge beat this man with champagne bottles, robbed him, made him drink urine, trying to get him to give up Diddy's mother's location. And so he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't give up. I don't know how he got away. It says, and here's an old article from 97. So this happened on December 15th, 1995, party at the luxurious Chateau Le Blanc in Los Angeles. The 27-year-old Bill told investigators last year that he was beaten with champagne bottles. This was in 97. Robbed and forced to drink a glass of urine as Knight interrogated him in an upstairs room at the Nichols Canyon mansion. He ended up settling out of court with Suge for $600,000. But they beat this man because he wouldn't tell them Diddy's mother's location. So you got to understand, I know y'all dislike Diddy because y'all say he's arrogant and he cheated his artists and he did all this other stuff. But you got to realize that they were making serious threats on the life of Diddy's mother and his child. And these women, these y'all fans of these women, I know y'all like their music and all this stuff, but Faith, Mary J. Blige, and Puffy's baby mother, Misa Hilton, all of them, and then the other baby mother, Sarah Chapman, they all slept with. Hold on, they all slept with Tupac and Suge Knight. They all hold on. They all slept with Suge Knight. So y'all got to take that into consideration when y'all want to blame Puffy for what happened with Tupac. Tupac put himself in that position. I know y'all idolize these people and worship them and all these things, but you got to look at it from another point of view. That Tupac kind of was responsible for his own demise. You don't threaten a man's family the way they did Diddy, who was worth about $30 or $40 million at the time, who also, Von Zip was a street dude. And I think he was the one that was mainly in contact with Keefe D and the Crips who put that whole thing together. So Diddy, they don't have a really strong case because did no money change hands because Zip took that money and bought a club with it. So they didn't receive any type of money from Diddy for what they did. And their only evidence that they have that's connecting Diddy to that crime is the words of Keefe D, who has no credibility because now he's saying he lied about the whole thing. But you got to put it in, you got to look at it from, you got to look at it from both sides. If somebody's threatening your family and you got your so-called artists and girlfriend and baby mamas running, playing both sides, probably giving them information with pillow talk and stuff, that man was paranoid because he's not, Diddy just he was a party promoter. He threw parties and stuff, and he may have been, and I'm going to tell you about the case with Cassie. He may have been a freak and, into a lot of sexual perversions, deviant behavior. And Puppy may have, was addicted to the pink cocaine, to the Tucci and the Ciroc. He had addictions. But y'all, a man on Puffy's level, he ain't, come on, y'all, keep it real. He ain't got to force nobody to do nothing. Those people gravitated to him. They wanted to be in his circle. They wanted to be at those parties. Cassie wanted to be in that situation because she stayed there for 10 years. If he held her hostage and kept her prisoner and kept her from moving on, how did she manage to get knocked up by her personal trainer and end up marrying him? She wasn't a prisoner. With all due respect, in my humble opinion, I think that she cheated with the personal trainer because she really didn't love Diddy anyway. She thought that he was going to eventually marry her. When she saw that she was wasting her time, she finally realized and came to her senses. And, she was making her, she made her exit. And it was with this personal trainer that she could pretend like she's working out, with this man who was hired by Diddy. And she was sleeping with him up under Diddy's nose. And he eventually, left Diddy for the personal trainer. Ended up having kids, getting married. And, years down the line, I guess, they may have fell on hard times. Didn't have the money that Cassie, or didn't, that man that she's married to, her husband could not afford to give her the lifestyle that she was accustomed to with Diddy. And so I believe that in my heart of hearts, in my own, discernment and opinion, is that Cassie and her husband, they devised this whole plan to get those millions of dollars out of Diddy. The husband put that battery in Cassie's back to sue Diddy and get that money. And so, because Cassie was not a prisoner, she was not. She may have been a domestic violence victim, and that still is wrong. At the end of the day, it's still wrong. But she willingly participated in those freak-offs, and she stayed for over a decade in that. Cassie didn't want to have to work a 9 to 5. She didn't have the talent, to have a career, a successful career in music. And that the lifestyle that she had with Diddy, it would be very hard for her to maintain, on her own or with someone else, because after Diddy got through with it, because yeah, let's admit, I'm not taking up for Diddy. Diddy stole her youth. She wasted a lot of years with Diddy, hoping to get married. But I knew Diddy wasn't going to marry her because Diddy wants to leave his fortune with his children, not with a wife, not with a woman. He's got several kids by several different women, and I think that if he wants to leave his money to his children, not to a woman, not to a spouse. So that's the reason why, and plus he's a perpetual bachelor. He's a lifetime bachelor. I don't think he wanted to be married because he was not a monogamous man. He was a very promiscuous man, and he had his faults and his flaws. But she stayed because she wanted the lifestyle. And after she left Diddy, she's heard her husband is thinking, he had me participating in these freak offs and having relations with all these men and participating in these debaucherous activities, got me hooked on all these substances, beat me, cheated on me, gave me an incurable STD, and I'm leaving here with nothing, and he's still a billionaire. So her and that husband got to thinking, no, we can't just let this, we got to get some money out of him. So they did that. They got the money out of him. Yes, I believe Puffy should have gave her something at the end of that relationship. I believe that he should have gave Cassie like maybe $10, $15 million, on her way out the door. Because you notice Cassie came back to him after the main Kim Porter, after she passed away. Cassie came back to Diddy, probably thinking that now that Kim was out the way, that she probably would get a ring, but that didn't happen, and so it ended up, the relationship ended for good. And I think that what happened is that her and the husband got together, was like, you know what, hey, we got to take care of our own family. And so Cassie considered the future of her own family and her own kids, and that's the reason why I think her and her husband did what they did, in my honest opinion. That case is weak against Diddy. Cassie is the only victim in that case. And I think it's very unfortunate, but when you play with the devil and you deal with the devil, these type of things happen. They were living very wicked, sinful, debaucherous lifestyles, all of them. And you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. So we'll see how that ends up. But with the case with Keefe D, and Diddy is very weak. The only thing that only person that can connect Diddy in any way to that case would be Eric Von Zip, and he's no longer with us. There was no money that went into Keefe D's hands or Orlando Anderson's hands from Diddy. So Eric Von Zip really did Diddy a favor by not giving them that money. But I think that Eric Von Zip and Keefe D were the two main conspirators to carry out Tupac's, Tupac's situation. But yeah, we'll see. This man is 61 years old, and he's now being made to answer for his crimes. He goes to trial this year, but it's not looking good for him now that he's caught this new case. It's not looking good for him. So we'll see. But yeah, maybe they'll give more details on this new case that he caught in jail, and we'll see, just what happened with that. But yeah, this man's 61 years old and then caught another case in prison. Well, not in prison, but he's in the county jail now, waiting to go to trial for the Tupac case. So something happened, I don't know if if it was another inmate or a prison employee, but he assaulted somebody, and it had to be something serious for his bond to be $50,000. So, all right, y'all, let me see who's calling me. But we'll see. Stay tuned. All right, peace. Be blessed.